Sometimes the greatest battles are not fought with fists or words, but within your own mind. Control over your emotions is the silent power that can turn chaos into clarity, conflict into opportunity, and failure into triumph. Those who master themselves master every situation. Aryan was a young man known for his intelligence, quick thinking, and natural leadership skills. But there was one thing that constantly held him back: his temper. A spark could ignite within him at the smallest provocation, a harsh word, a careless mistake, or even a challenge to his ideas, and once it flared, it consumed him entirely. Friends often admired his passion, but they also feared the storm that came with it. Aryan worked at a prestigious marketing firm where deadlines were tight and competition fierce. He had been promoted quickly because of his sharp mind and creativity, but his inability to control his emotions often sabotaged his progress. Meetings that should have been opportunities for collaboration became battlegrounds. Simple disagreements escalated into arguments, leaving colleagues frustrated and his reputation slightly tarnished. One day, Aryan was assigned to lead a critical project for an important client. Success would mean recognition, a big bonus, and possibly a promotion. Failure, however, could ruin his career. He was excited but also nervous, knowing that the stress of the project would test his patience like never before. The project started smoothly. Aryan worked tirelessly, drafting strategies, assigning tasks, and meeting clients. But as the deadline approached, problems began to surface. A team member missed a crucial milestone. Another misunderstood instructions, causing delays. The client called with unexpected demands that seemed impossible to meet. Aryan's chest tightened, his jaw stiffened, and he felt the familiar heat of anger rising. He stormed into the office, slamming his laptop on the desk. Voices rose, arguments flared, and the room felt like it was on fire. Aryan realized he was about to yell at his team, to vent all the frustration he had been bottling up, but something stopped him. It was a fleeting moment of awareness, a small pause, but enough for him to remember the words of his grandfather, who had always told him as a child. Anger is a wildfire. It destroys everything in its path, including yourself. Learn to control it, Aryan, or it will control you. That evening, Aryan left the office early, walking through the quiet streets to clear his mind. The city lights shimmered on the wet pavement, reflecting the turmoil inside him. He realized that his anger had cost him opportunities before, had strained relationships, and could even ruin his dream of becoming a leader everyone respected. He decided he needed to change, but change, he knew, would not come from willpower alone. It required practice, patience, and understanding. He began studying emotional intelligence, reading books, observing calm leaders, and reflecting on his own triggers. He started meditating for 15 minutes each morning, learning to recognize the first signs of frustration and to breathe through them instead of reacting instantly. Days turned into weeks, and Aryan gradually noticed a shift. When a colleague made a mistake, instead of reacting with anger, he paused, assessed the situation, and responded with calm guidance. When a client raised an impossible demand, he didn't panic or argue. Instead, he asked questions, explored options, and proposed solutions that no one had considered. Each time he practiced restraint, he felt a quiet satisfaction, a new kind of strength building within him. Then came the day of the critical client presentation. Aryan's team had worked tirelessly, but just as the meeting was about to start, a technical failure occurred. The slides wouldn't load. A minor panic rippled through the room. In the past, Aryan would have lost his temper, blaming the team or shouting at the technical staff. But now he felt the old anger rise and chose to observe it instead of giving in. Taking a deep breath, Aryan calmly addressed the client, explaining the situation briefly and proposing an alternative. He would present the key ideas on paper and walk them through step by step, ensuring no detail was lost. The client, initially annoyed, gradually relaxed, impressed with Aryan's composure and focus. What could have been a disaster turned into a masterful display of leadership, strategy, and calm under pressure. The client not only approved the project, but also requested an extended contract for additional work. After the meeting, Aryan's team looked at him in awe. "How did you stay so calm?" one of them asked. Aryan smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "I realized that losing my temper never solved anything. Controlling my emotions doesn't make me weak, it gives me power. Power to think clearly, act decisively, and guide us all to success." This experience became a turning point in Aryan's life. He began applying the same principle everywhere, in negotiations, in personal relationships, and even in stressful daily routines. He learned to recognize triggers, to pause, to breathe, and to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Over time, colleagues noticed something. People sought his advice, admired his composure, and respected his decisions. The leader who once stormed into rooms in anger was now someone whose calm presence could resolve conflict and inspire confidence. Aryan also discovered an unexpected benefit. Controlling emotions didn't just improve his interactions with others, it transformed his inner world. He slept better, felt less stress, and found that opportunities appeared where before there had been obstacles. When emotions were managed, his mind became a sharp, clear instrument capable of creative problem solving and strategic thinking. He realized that most failures in life were not caused by lack of talent or effort, but by unchecked emotions clouding judgment and leading to rash decisions. Months later, Aryan faced his biggest challenge yet. A sudden market downturn threatened a major project, putting months of work at risk. Rumors and panic spread through the company. In the past, Aryan might have panicked, argued with executives, or blamed his team. But now, he remained composed. He called a meeting, presented a clear plan of action, delegated responsibilities, and inspired confidence. The team worked efficiently, problems were mitigated, and the project not only survived but ended up stronger than before. Aryan's calm under pressure had won the day. He remembered his grandfather's words once more. Anger and impulsive reactions are like wild animals, unpredictable, destructive, and exhausting. But when tamed, emotions become allies, guiding you with precision and clarity. Aryan realized that every difficult situation he had faced in life, whether at work, in friendships, or in personal struggles, had been a test of emotional control. Mastery over himself meant mastery over the world around him. Aryan began mentoring young colleagues, sharing the life-changing lesson he had learned. He would tell them, "Emotions are powerful, but unchecked emotions are dangerous. You cannot control every situation, but you can control your response. Pause, breathe, think, respond. That is how you win every situation, no matter how chaotic it seems." Over time, Aryan's reputation transformed. He was no longer just a talented strategist. He became a leader people trusted, a calm presence in storms, and a mentor who inspired others to develop the same discipline. Opportunities that once seemed impossible now flowed naturally. And through it all, Aryan understood that the real victory was not in the praise, the bonuses, or the promotions. It was in the mastery of himself, in the quiet power that came from controlling his emotions. Years later, Aryan would often reflect on the young man he once was, the one that burned with anger, whose reactions sabotaged his own success. He smiled at the memory, grateful for the struggle, because it had led him to the most important lesson of his life. True power is not in force or argument, but in self-control. He knew that life would always present challenges, conflicts, and moments designed to test him. But now he faced them with calm, clarity, and confidence. And in that calmness, he discovered the secret to winning every situation, not by overpowering others, but by mastering himself. Aryan's story became a testament to everyone who struggled with impulsive reactions, frustration, or uncontrolled anger. It was a reminder that victory begins within, and that by controlling your emotions, you hold the key to success in every battle, every relationship, and every challenge life places before you. And every night, before closing his office door, Aryan would pause, take a deep breath, and whisper to himself, "I am the master of my emotions. I am the master of my life, and with this calm, I can face anything."